Welcome to ET Auto. Today we have Balbir Dhillon, head for Audi India, one of the most known veterans in automotive world. And Audi has been doing really well for the past couple of years, but off late the struggle continued for a year or so, and then Balbir took over and a little bit before that. But Audi has been the youngest and the most sporty brand in the luxury segment. Thank you so much for talking to ET Auto. Balbir, I welcome you to ET Auto platform. This is a series we have started for ET Auto TV as well as a digital platform. Thank you so much. I wish you great in 2020 despite all challenges. The first thing I want to understand how the year has been for Audi India because you had two launches and these were all big ticket launches, the A8L as well as the Q8, your flagship SUV, the top end. How 2020 has been? How do you see the year playing out?
Chanchal, first of all, thank you for inviting me, and it is always pleasure to speak to you. And good evening, good morning, whenever this is telecasted to all the viewers. I wish all of you very good health. Now, coming back to the topic which you raised, yes, we had a good start of the year where we launched two top of the end cars, the Audi Q8 and Audi 8. Just before that, we had also launched the new Audi A6. So the year started extremely well, but obviously from the month of March, we actually had double whammy. To be honest, first was to move from BS4 to BS6, and we had taken certain very strong decisions on that topic, which I think subsequently we will also discuss. But at the same time, now this Corona pandemic also hit somewhere in the month of March, and from that time, more or less, we are closed. It is just now we have started opening up slowly. All the workshops are now open. So yes, in terms of volumes, of course, it will remain a challenging year. I think not just what has happened in the first 6 months approximately, but also a couple of months to come will be quite a bit of a challenge. But to be honest, we are preparing for it. We have been looking at our short-term to medium-term strategy, what we need to switch here and there. So those adjustments we've made all this while we have been working from home. So yes, it is going to be a challenging year. I would say vis-a-vis overall, if you see 2020 as compared to last year, it will definitely be a year of challenges, and there'll be a degrowth as well, I would say.
We are running into the 6th month of the year. If you go by calendar year 2020, at least we have lost 2.5 months. And Corona would be bringing a lot more changes in the automotive industry. All segments would be impacted, right from two-wheelers to passenger cars to commercial vehicles. But luxury has special space in India in terms is the most aspirational segment. Even a person who's riding a super bike, he wants to own a luxury car. Any brand, any big car and an SUV has been a great success in India, especially people's preference for this body shape. So, what has been the learnings in Corona era for Audi so far, and how do you see your strategy getting changed in the light of coronavirus impact?
So you're right. Luxury in India is very aspirational. So, what I always say is that we sell dreams and car is a byproduct. So, people aspire to own uh, luxury car. It is when they buy luxury car, it is they reach in their life certain stage when they own these cars, and it's like a celebration in the family, where in your social circle, in your friend circle, and that's what luxury is all about. So it is extremely aspirational. Said that, we believe that once we're going through this Corona period and once we've opened up now, uh, personal mobility will be preferred by individuals or the families, because you would probably people would not prefer to go by public transport. Said that, but that I think is more applicable for entry level cars. When it comes to luxury, most of our buyers, they come from business community or CEOs or doctors or a professional like chartered accountants, extremely successful lawyers. So most of these, not all of this, most of these industry have been also going through tough time. So my personal belief is that once the lockdown is opened now or opening up in certain locations, people will firstly go back to their offices and see if their business is they want to bring their business back on track before they take the decisions of buying cars. So I think a few months we will see a subdued demand, but starting festive season, I would believe that people will start coming back to our buying more and more cars. Said that, we also recently launched an online platform. So this is something which I would want to share, that is something which is changing a bit. Initially, if you see, there was a digital world, then there was a physical world. and people would look at cars online and then come to the showroom, negotiate, take test drives, spend a lot of time because, as I said, it's an emotional buying. So there is a lot of time spent before the buying happens. This I think would be tilting a little more towards digital, so it will become kind of a phygital world, physical and digital. So if people will spending one third of the time on digital and two-third on physical, probably it will be 50% digital and 50% physical. But I still believe a lot of people or most of the buyers would still want to take a test drive, touch and feel the car, compare with competition, and all these things will happen. And specific to one point which you mentioned, whether it will be sedans or SUV, I think it's still for us, both have equal importance. There are people who want to sit at the back of the car and they're chauffeur driven, there the sedan plays its role. And there are people who want to drive by themselves luxury cars, and then SUV comes into the picture. So I think the weight will remain equal more or less. I mean, a little bit plus minus. So I think it will be a push on both the sides from our side in terms of our product planning goals.
Mr. Dillon, can we say the brick and mortar stores will have their own importance despite the digital push?
Absolutely, yes. Especially in the luxury segment, I would 100% believe that brick and mortar will remain to be part of it. Well, going forward in 3 to 5 years, maybe the sizes become a little shorter. Maybe have more digital displays in the showrooms than physical displays. But I would 100% believe that showrooms will remain to be part of our business as we move on.
Okay. Coming to digital showrooms, you have started the AR, VR kind of concepts. This is a technology where the customers have a direct interface with the product and it has a huge influence on their choices. How has your experience been, and do you see what will be the next level in AR, VR? It will be more customers opting for this option before making a purchase decision.
So, as a part of our strategy 2025, we have four pillars of strength. One is customer centricity, and one is products, one is network, and one is digitalization. So, we have been working on this strategy from 2019 onward. And AR VR we already launched way back in 2019. So before we were to launch the new products, the new A6 and the new A8 and the new Q8, which are highly customized cars, we wanted to give customers an experience of AR and VR because you can design your own car. These are those segment of car when you spend a few crores of rupees to bring these cars in. Cars become extension of your personality. So you design. It's a very emotional buying. You spend a few weeks looking at the car. So if you can give this kind of experience in three dimensions to the customers, it becomes far more engaging. So people are really, really engaged to buy these cars. And I can, personally, I can give an example of Virat Kohli. I mean, he personally ordered his Q8, and then the time that he spent on messaging and sending pictures was really amazing. So you really feel very proud and happy that people are so engaged while ordering these cars. So this is really helping us to become closer to our customers, so to increase the level of emotions when they buy cars. This is where the AR and VR comes into the picture. What we've done now also is recently, last month only, we've launched the online sale, which is the next level now, where from looking at the cars through augmented reality to book the car online by paying advance payment or choosing the EMIs that you want, because you also need flexibility in these times, whether you want a 5 years old loan or 3 years or 7 years, or you want to give a bullet EMI. So there are all finance options that are available. So end to end, you can also pay the full money on online, and we could deliver the car at your doorstep fully, sanitized. So this end to end solutions have also been added to the kitty. Not just sales. I mean, sales is just one focus, but also equally focused with the after sales. So if you own a car, own an Audi, you can also go online, book an appointment, and choose your date and time. And if you want to come, more than happy. If you want us to pick your car up, that's also possible. So all these facilities are available now online for ease of ownership for our products for our customers. So I think this plays going to play a major role, but human touch is very, very important, and that is not going anywhere anytime soon.
Okay. For Audi, you have had a major success with the Audi Approved Plus. I know for sure because used car drives a lot of sales for new cars. How the last year you had 11% growth. How do you see this driving your sales in 2020?
So honestly, when I was speaking before the Corona times, I was talking of huge growth in this sector, and I still maintain that the pre-owned cars business will grow definitely. I think it will grow for us this year as well. What percentage? It is difficult to say at this point in time because we have just come out of Corona and we've opened up our showrooms and workshop now. but we don't know how it is going to progress. So it is difficult to put a figure right now, but I'm sure this is going to grow, and not just the growth of number of pre-owned cars that we sell, but at the same time, the number of locations from where we will operate will also grow. My personal belief, and I always discuss with my team as well as my partners, is that we must sell every car at least 2 times. That's our mantra. So you sell a car and then you buy it back whenever customer wants to sell in 2 to 5 years time, and then you resell the car at least 2 times. So every car must be sold at least 2 times. This is where our focus comes on Audi Approved Plus. That we try to bring a lot of customers into our fold even before they buy a new car, and we give them an Audi experience, and then eventually they become our prospective buyers for the future. So this is very clear vertical for us, which is also it's not just for selling more cars. I think it is also from the customer's point of view, it's an ease for our existing customer to sell their existing car, but also for the new ones to own a car which is properly checked by us, a 300-point check we do. We have extended warranty on the car. So all those things, they give peace of mind when customers buy from us. So yes, it is very important vertical.
Mr. Dylan, if I can ask you, because you have a rich experience in dealer development, in today's time, there are a large number of dealers who are under extreme stress. There are various needs where it could be liquidity, it could also be the stock, it could also be brand, and it could be massive expansion. It could also be the service portfolio. There may be various stress points for dealers. How do you see for Audi you are coming through to help dealers to sustain through these tough times and maintain a sales traction for the rest of the year?
So I don't want to talk very specific what we have done, because it is very important. I'll just give you one a broad picture. As I mentioned, part of our strategy 2025 is one of the pillar is network. When I say network, it has two verticals within network. One is how do we reach our customers? So reach of our network to the customer. So there we have workshop first strategy, where we want to reach to our customer firstly by a workshop, followed by a pre-owned car showroom, Audi Approved Plus, and followed by a new car showroom. So that our customers who are buying these cars, they buy these cars once in 2 or 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
but they service the car more regularly. So it is important that we reach them through our outlets as far as workshop first goes. The second part of the network strategy is sustainable network. So all our dealerships have to be profitable, and that's how they will also take care of our customers. So we have launched multiple programs in past 6 months or even before, whether it is reducing the cost of holding the inventories, whether it is looking at right sizing our facilities. For an example, if you I've not reduced but right size our facilities wherever possible. We have made adjustments to improve efficiencies in the workshops, to improve, get more cars into the workshop. So, and even financial support to the dealers where required. So all these measures we have taken over a period of last 6 months, not just because of Corona, but also before. Because for me, it's very important that all the partners remain profitable, and that's how. Not just partners, whole cycle. We have to take care of the whole cycle. We have vendors, we have employees, we have dealerships. So it's a full chain. The whole chain has to be preserved, and that's how we run the business as a whole. So we are very mindful of it, and I'm sure I don't want to say too much directly, but you can speak to people around, and you will see this positivity from our partners as well when you speak to them. That the company is standing shoulder to shoulder with them at these times, so that we come out of this and we come out strong.
Mr. Dylan, can I ask you, because Audi is a global brand, it's a global availability in all the markets. You have transcontinental presence in almost every major market. You are a huge brand in China, you are a huge brand in US. Has there been any global learnings and global sharings with regard to the Corona pandemic? Peers in other markets, have been they able to help you out in terms of your sharing experiences as well as learning that will help Audi India to come out better?
So, very interesting topic that you picked up. What we do is all our overseas market, we have a weekly conference call for 1 hour, where all the head of all Audi brands across the world, and I would say not the biggest markets like China and US, but all the other markets. So we have this council where we meet for 1 hour, and we share our good practices, or if there are any challenges that any specific markets have faced. And there also for the other big markets, if there are some good practices which are also shared like US and China. To give you one example, we were shared in this conference, which happens weekly, is that this is how there was a step up approach how the workshop will come, how much time will it'll take 6 weeks time before the workshops are coming back to their full strength. So it will be a step up approach. First week you will have these many throughputs, second week these many throughputs. So these kind of graphical representation that we receive, and when we have opened up now for last about let's say about 3 to 4 weeks, we are seeing similar patterns. So it is good to see that these kind of practices, if that these are happening across the world, they're also happening in India. I mean, accordingly, also if there is any good practices from Australia or from South Africa, we all adopt to those practices. And a lot of this is happening, especially on digital side. So it is not just we who are adopting. To be honest, I'm happy to share that a lot of things that we do in India, on the digital side, we also give them these learnings because we are very quite fast and we are able to develop these things very, very quickly. It's a two-way street. So we learn and we also share our experience from India.
If I can say, Audi as a brand has a very high style quotient. Large number of customers aspire your cars, your SUVs, vans for the styling of Audi, which is very distinct. How do you plan to leverage that in today's market where customers are extremely and people are looking for more designful and playful products? Design over a period emerges as the single most important determinant for buying new cars. So as your sporty and design quotient has always been high, how do you Audi plans to play it up in the Indian market?
So this is a very deep question, and it will be a little longer answer. So you're absolutely right. This is one of the most important criteria of buying today. And you very clearly mentioned that there are a lot of people who are inclined towards the design language of Audi. And this is also relevant because we probably believe that we have the youngest buyers in the whole segment, not just worldwide but also in India. So the youngest people on an average age of people who are buying our cars would be lowest in the whole luxury segment. So it is very important for us that we keep emphasizing. So one of the decisions that we took when we moved from BS4 to BS6 was that what we will do is we will completely either bring a new car into the country, which has not been into India, like Q8 was never there before, or we will bring the next generation of an existing car, or at least the product improvement. So if you see internationally, all the cars that are available right now, their designs are really, really sexy, and people are really appreciating the way the new design language has come about. And that's the reason we have decided that we'll not continue to sell the same cars where we are just changing the engine from BS4 to BS6, but let's take this bold step and bring all the cars to which are new. This may take a bit of a time, like all the cars will not be available in one go. So, but one by one, we are going to bring all the cars which are the latest in the world. So I clearly see this to be one of our strength worldwide, and we would like to play this strength in India as well.
Okay. Today we are living in BS6 times, Bharat Stage 6. There was huge aspiration for people to change over to this technology. There were also many reservations that how many companies would be able to do it. But in today's time, Audi has gone for a petrol strategy. You have right now only petrol portfolio that is in BS6. Do we expect diesel in the future? And what is your strategy in terms of selling only petrol cars right now?
So when we took this decision, honestly, the decision was that we moved from diesel plus petrol to petrol plus electric cars. That's the
Okay.
long-term vision that we have, that we want to move ahead. The question is whether we have given up diesel completely. The answer is no. For the time being, we are saying that we want to move with this strategy. And there are, at the end of the day, you have to understand that why diesel is more preferred in India so far and why it is moving towards petrol. So we have already seen from 95% diesel to already our portfolio, 30-35% pre 31st March, we already reached 30-35% petrol. So there is very clear shift that we are already seeing. There were perceptional issues. The diesel petrol is a perception issue, mostly to do with because we are, we used to be a rural economy. Now we are becoming urban economy. So people were inclined towards diesel. Always, their SUVs were with diesel engines and resale values. So these perceptions are something which we need to break. So this is what our job is right now. So when we are promoting a TFSI strategy, this is what we educate. We are guaranteeing our resale values of the car. So wherever these perceptual issues, all the cars which we have now are mild hybrid cars. So the technology is moving in such a fast pace, and we are so technologically advanced in petrol that you don't feel those perceptions which we had before. And if there is anything that you have, we want to clarify to our customer and at least give them a chance to understand also what we have in the portfolio. Whether we'll be able to switch all the diesel customers into petrol, answer is no. But I am sure that a large part of customers will be able to convince. So that's the strategy that we have.
Okay. And can you share your thoughts on e-tron? Your plans to showcase more things in India, and when it will be feasible and possible to have a commercial launch of electric vehicles from the Audi portfolio?
So yes, last year we already showcased the car. You also perhaps would have seen the car e-tron. We got into India. We showcased to uh, our existing customer. We wanted to touch base with our existing customer to see whether they'll be interested in these kind of cars. Do these kind of cars interest them? Do they have any specific questions? So we gathered a lot of data from customers. Also, we showed this to auto enthusiasts and auto journalists to get their feedback. What is that we should bring into the country? So this is definitely on the cards. The time is not yet frozen, so I'm not in a position to share the time with you. But the e-tron is going to come to India. I can only tell you that not just e-tron, but Audi is investing, or our group is investing heavily into electric cars. And you will see internationally, there are a lot of announcements being made that by this year you will have these many new electric cars, and all these options are also available for India. Government has been kind enough to at least allow us under this 2,500 cars import category, less number of cars where we can bring these cars without homologation and do a lot of experimentation whether these cars will be accepted by the customers. And eventually, if the volumes are good enough, then we can start producing them locally. So this is something which is a strategy that we will use this to bring in more and more cars into the country and experiment with these cars. And I'm sure this will be successful. And I think the way you see the whole world electric cars are going to be a reality. It's only a matter of time that how quickly a country adapts to these cars. But I'm sure India will also have a fair share as we move on.
So you will see. What's your thought process in terms that it will be more hybrid that will take precedence and eventually electric will come? How do you see the market evolving in India?
Honestly, I personally believed in this that it should have been actually a two-step strategy. Firstly, from ICE engine, we should have moved to hybrid, and thereafter we should have moved to electric. But if you see the taxation structure, this doesn't help right now. There is no specific benefit which is available for hybrid cars. So ideally, that would have been a best way, because you would have taken first step and then you would have taken the second step. Then it becomes a smooth transition. At this point in time, how strongly we believe in electric, will this be a big success? It still has a certain questions, uh, you know, uh, in our minds before we take any particular decisions. And specifically, you will understand that as long as the cars are fully imported, irrespective, even if the GST is low, there is a huge import duty. So even that deters because of the pricing on these cars. So it will still remains to be a limited volume. But once the volumes reach that threshold limit where we can start assembling these cars in India, it will be really great. I think we as a group are committed towards electric mobility, and let's see in the times to come, once we have a local assembly happening of these cars, the price will become really good, and at that point in time, it will be a big takeoff. Till that time, as long as we are importing these cars, I would believe the volumes will remain limited because of import duties.
Okay. And Mr. Dillon, if I can ask you, how do you see luxury segment emerging in 2020? There are various challenges, and we were expecting at least the luxury market to reach at least 100,000 units couple of years back, but it hasn't seen that kind of growth happening. And this year, in these challenging times, it would be great even if we are able to reach somewhere close to last year volumes. Uh, there are many challenges, but overall, how do you see the luxury segment taking up the Katgal in 2020, where people would be more looking towards affordable mobility, and the challenges would be for all the brands, not in particular for Audi?
So I think if we keep on talking of 2020, we'll be quite negative
Yeah.
that we'll be talking. So I think we kind of must think that it is a very unprecedented time, and talking of volume and growth during these times is not fair. I think from the volume perspective, kind of we'll have to, whenever we make our charts, 2020 is the year when we'll have to put a cross on that chart, or put a big bubble. It's a standalone year which has come across a situation which is uncalled for, unprecedented, unknown. We are in completely unknown waters. So as the things are moving, we are getting to know. First quarter in luxury segment already saw a degrowth because we were moving from BS4 to BS6. This luxury segment almost degrew by 30%. From April was fully closed. May you've seen a drastic drop. June we've just started. So I think 2020 will be extremely challenging years. It will take us back a few years. But coming to the last point, when you mentioned that we expected the luxury segment to be almost 100,000. Now, I've been in this luxury segment for last 12 years, 12, 13 years now. Definitely, 6, 7 years back, the way that things were happening, we were all anticipating that there'll be a big move in the luxury space. But you see, luxury space has remained to be 1.2% of the overall industry. It has not grown. One of the reason it has not grown is because the taxation year on year has been going up, and not just the taxation in terms of GST or import duties, but also registration taxes. I mean, you can imagine 20% registration tax on the ex-showroom price. So it is like a tax on tax on tax on tax on tax. So there is a layering of taxes which has happened. So this has kept the industry to be it's like a spring which has been pushed downwards. I personally believe that India's story on luxury segment is very, very intact. We believe in this story. There'll be a time in next couple of years when we'll have a big jump, because if you see any Southeast Asian market, you see China, you see any other markets also, not just developed but also developing markets, the percentage of luxury cars is around 5-6% or more. We are at just 1%. Imagine just one becoming two, two becoming three. It's just going to double the market. So there is a huge scope that exists for India, and I'm sure some point in time when we will have the right price structure, taxation structure, and registration costs, this will also grow. Right now, it is a spring which has been pressed down. The spring will bounce back the moment you give a little bit of a relaxation. And if you remember, there is a cess on the luxury cars which was put up for 5 years when the GST regime was put in place. So we anticipate when the cess goes out after 5 years, it will also give us a breather. That our industry will become at par with other automotive industry, and I'm sure that probably could be a point where we could take off.
In today's scenario, the bigger question remains the profitability of the business. How do you see the viability of the entire automotive chain remaining conducive when all the various stakeholders are under stress? It could be vendors, it could be OEMs, it could be dealers, even the customers. So, how do you see this happening, and what has been your initial experience of service line for the past almost 3-4 weeks? We have been operating your service centers. How do you see going forward for possibly the viability of automotive business?
So I will restrict my comments to luxury automotive. Uh, from the time that we've opened now, all the workshops are open. We've reached almost the capacity of 85%. So just to give you an example, if there were 1,000 customers visiting us every day, we've reached 850 already on a day-to-day basis, which is developing. So this is last 4 weeks. I think in another 3 to 4 weeks, we will reach where we were. So after sales movement has been very, very steadily growing, and it's come back on track. And especially in the after sales, I think in the luxury space, after sales plays a most important role, because there is a cutthroat competition on selling the cars. It is very difficult to make margins while you sell the cars. Honestly, on that side, I'll make a separate comment, but service is critical from the point of view that our customers expect world class services. So we have to give them those services, and ease of ownership, peace of mind, all these things have to be taken care of. Now on top sanitization, which anyway it was important for luxury segment, it takes it goes to the next level now. So this is for the customer, but at the same time, dealerships mostly run with the strength of their after sales business. Sales contributes, and also Audi Approved Plus contributes to the profitability. So we're working on each of these pillars. And on the sales side, the comment that I want to make is that I don't believe in selling by discount, because we have to build our brand stronger. And people own brands. People don't own cars. This is a very emotional process. So we need to keep on investing into the brand. So profitability for our partners and profitability for us to reinvest back into the business, to reinvest, bring new cars, reinvest with new initiatives for our customers is something which I intend to do along with my team. And We have launched multiple programs like we have up to 11 years of roadside assistance, up to 8 years of service packages, up to 7 years of warranties. So these are the kind of initiatives where we want to build our brand stronger, and we want to be ahead of competition, not by giving more discounts. So that's the strategy that we have, and I'm sure this will help us make our brand stronger and help our customers come close to us, even more emotionally attached than before. And that's how we want to be known as Audi. Because Audi, if you say Audi, means listen. So we want to listen to our customers and then react.
In especially in these times of infection and the pandemic, one of the biggest trend that is likely to emerge is that preference for personal transport. Shared mobility might take a backseat. Customers would be looking for more personal transport in terms of not just going to their offices, but avoiding interface with public transport, as well as young professional, young customers going for individual cars. Whether good or bad, it will bring in a high cost factor, but it's also a great opportunity for companies and brands to either reap it or and as well as bring in fresh customers. There would be more demand for entry level cars, but it also an option in terms of upgrading to better brands, better cars. We already have. I can say A3 is a very perfect example in terms of a very aspirational brand, which is within the reach of large number of professionals. Could be doctors, it could be lawyers, as you said, CAs also. How do you see generating a USP for Audi in India in these trying times?
So I think you're absolutely right. The personal mobility will definitely be taking precedence over other modes of movement. So, as we mentioned earlier, Audi Approved Plus is one of the possibilities where we can bring in more and more customers. Also, at the same time, if somebody wants to upgrade to a new Audi, irrespective of whatever car anybody owns, so we give that comfort of giving those cars to us and bring such programs which are financial program that you can have long-term EMIs. You can have EMI for 11 months you pay less, so the 12th months in a year you pay high because everybody once in a year gets bonuses or something like that. Or you can have low EMIs during 4 years, and the last EMI is a big EMI. At that point in time, you could sell the cars, your existing car, and buy a new one. So there are a lot of flexibilities which can give comfort to you in terms of when you want to own something. So I think programs like Audi Approved Plus, in combination with good flexible financial programming, combination of this would definitely help more and more buyers to own our cars.
And what is your strategy? Because you are the stay young brand, you are the younger brand in terms of younger appeal to the customers, and you also have A3 and Q3, which are in a way segment leaders in their own style and size. Is there a strategy to bring in more smaller cars and bring smaller offerings for the Indian market going? Because we have a large demography of young customers, and you have in the global portfolio smaller vehicles. How do you see the future product strategy?
Honestly, all the products which are available globally are also available for India. Every product is offered in the market if it makes a business sense. Luxury products are not just expensive because the kind of detailing, the kind of the technology it brings in, but it also attracts a huge amount of duties and customs and taxation. So, it is not possible to bring the cheapest possible cars. You can't have best of both the worlds. Then you have the cheapest car and you also have luxury car. It is not that easy. So we will bring anything which is making a positive business case for India, and we will be selling everything that we could sell at a certain price point, but we will not be able to sell anything at the cheapest possible price. So that is something which we are not driving volumes. I don't want to say that I'll be 10 20,000 car 10,000 cars, number one, number two. This doesn't interest me. The most important thing for me is happy customers. That is the strategy that we want to go forward, and sustainable business for our partners and for us as well. I mean, if our business is sustainable, we want to reinvest back into giving customers more and more experience. All the cars right now that we are selling, they're all connected cars. Uh, all the cars from October last year that we are selling, we are giving this additional feature for our customers, that their mobile could become their extension of their car. So anything that is happening with the car, you can see also with your in your mobile. And We are having a lot of customer touch point where we want to touch and feel with the customer, give them experiences, give them concierge services if they're traveling anywhere, give them personalized services. So we are taking, we are moving from, let's say, a company of selling cars to a company which provides services in the times to come. So that's the, and that everything has a cost attached to it. Everything needs an investment. Everything needs a lot of work to be done. So, it is very important that we do something, whatever we do with the sense of respect, and we are also sustainable. So the idea is that whatever we bring for our customers, we want to be in their lives forever. Once they are in with us, our bond should be forever, and we continue to nurture that bond. And that happens only if we are also are profitable and our dealers are also profitable, so that we can reinvest.
Okay. If I can say in the last 1 year, one major thing that has happened in Indian automotive scene is the advent of connected cars. You had also been initiating a couple of measures where your connected cars has been preferred by the customers. How do you see the connected cars phenomena and the connected quotient going forward in these digital times?
Absolutely. This is the way to go. This is the future. I mean, I would say imagine the quantum of time that we have spent in last 3 months while we were stuck at our homes digital in the digital era. So this is, I think, whether booking a restaurant or want to stitch anything for a good suit for yourself, all these things should be available to a customer at a fingertip. You press a button, or you say on a speech dialogue system that I want to do this. That service should be available to you within few seconds. That's eventually also our aims to for our customers, that when we are connected properly, when able to develop these systems, when we are able to develop this whole ecosystem. It is not just one service, it will be multiple services. If you want to go, let's imagine for a holidays in 3 months time with your family, and you have something in your mind, we could design something which is very personal for you. We could arrange some classes for your wife, if she wants to cook with some good chefs across India or across the world. There's so many things that are possible to be done, which are also in the back of our mind, and we're working on all these things. So, this is an ever evolving world, and digitalization is the way to go. I think we have invested quite a bit in this, and we will continue to invest. This is one of our pillars of strategy 2025 out of the four, digitalization. So you can imagine 25% focus is going into that pillar.
Mr. Dillon, you're almost close to completing a year as a head of Audi in India. What your experience has been, especially you have a very uh, great interface with your dealers. You were into dealer development. Going forward, there have been challenges. If I can just ask you any alteration, any change in strategy you have done for the dealership module, which will help you to consolidate as well as strengthen your operation and take the brand forward?
So you're right. Before taking on this responsibility, my responsibility was network development. So we have done quite a lot of work on the network. My way of working is simplicity. Answer to everything is simplicity. This is what I tell my team as well and my dealer as well. Make everything as simple as possible, because we make our lives complex ourselves. Look at any policies. I've looked at all the policies, make them as simple as possible, and also reduce costs where possible, which are not customer interfacing. So wherever possible, let's imagine inventory. So if you were maintaining an inventory at the dealership level, let's say 45 days, we've got down to less than 30 days. There is no need. Right now, it is easy for us to make a car reach from A to B in a span of about 7 days time, 10 days time, within the country wherever it is well. So it is we hold the inventories, we reduce dealer inventories. Same way, if there are any possibilities of right sizing the facilities, we are ready to do those things. So we are flexible as long as it is not customer facing. But when it comes to customer facing stuff where customer is getting an experience from us, there is no compromise on the quality. So we want to maintain certain quality which is available worldwide and also is available for our customers. So simplicity is the key. Eh, all the processes we make simple so that people are able to understand them and take the best benefit, not just for the dealers but also for the customers. So this is something which I have been practicing, and I will continue to practice for our partners. And as I mentioned before, network being one of our pillars of strength, sustainability is very important. So I want all of my partners to be profitable. and come out of this situation strong, because we are also resetting many things when we are going through this time. It is not normal time, so we have done a lot of work, and I'm sure this will help us in the future.
Okay, and can I ask you one small thing that Audi had been a leader for quite a significant times. You told that you are not in the number game, but volumes play a critical role in terms of sustainability of operations, profitability, viability, and a whole lot of things. What imperative decisions or strategies you are taking to that at least in terms of numbers you remain in the top bracket or close to the segment leader?
So when I say I don't want to chase the number one position or chase number, that is true, but that doesn't mean that we want to be, get ignored over a period of time. Our strategy is to, on one side, bring the products which are niche products, sports cars, and also on the other side, the volume products, all the volume products that we have been having. So strategy is to continue to sell large quantum of numbers in the times to come. So we are not giving up the volume. We are only just don't want to look at reaching at certain point in time at certain position. That is something which we are not looking at. But we have not given up our volume dreams. We will continue to push the volume, because at the end of the day, the volumes is something which is very, very critical, because the whole chain, if you want to have more locally produced products, you need to have certain minimum volume for that particular model. So you need to push the volume to reach that threshold when you start making those cars, because when you make those cars locally, you have less taxation and you're able to further take the volumes up. So it's a full chain reaction that happens. So we have not given our volume dream. We have only don't want to chase numbers, and number one position. This that is not something important. Important is volumes, yes, because this also brings us profitability for our partners. More number of cars that we sell, more number of pre-owned cars we will sell, and more number of cars will come to our workshop. So the business will remain profitable, and of course, the more volume we sell, India's story becomes even more prominent in our headquarters. The more we sell, so that is how it is. You get more and more attention if you sell more and more cars, and then that's the whole cycle. So you need to nurture each side. You need to nurture the side of headquarters. You need to nurture the side of customers. Then you have dealerships. Then you have employees. Then you have your vendors. So yeah, it's a whole chain that you need to nurture. So that's the strategy.
On that note, I thank you so much for spending your time and taking out from your busy schedule to talk to ET Auto. I wish you all the best and Audi great success in India. And you keep on serving customers, bringing the best of design, the best of technology to India. And I wish you a great success. And
Thank
eventually,
you.
we all shall pass through these times together. Thank you so much.
Angel, thank you so much. It is always a pleasure to speak to you. I can only tell you this was the longest chat that I had virtually in all these months. It was really a
Okay.
pleasure to speak to you, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you very much once again for good wishes. And as I mentioned, we'll continue to sell dreams. Cars are the byproducts.